Let's talk vintage Marvel action figures, man. These weren't just toys, they were a gateway to a world of imagination and adventure. Specifically, those sweet ToyBiz figures. They were the crown jewels of any kid's collection. From the early 90s gems to the glorious Marvel Legends series, these toys weren't just plastic and paint, they were pure magic. Each figure was a ticket to countless hours of fun. I'm talking about a time when action figures were built to last. These weren't the fragile toys of today. They were sturdy, durable, and ready for action. They were meant to be played with, thrown around, taken on adventures both indoors and out. They were our constant companions, loved to death. Each scuff and scratch told a story of epic battles and heroic deeds. Remember those epic battles we staged in our bedrooms? The floor was our battlefield, and the stakes were always high. Good guys versus bad guys, heroes versus villains. Every figure had a role to play in our grand narratives. ToyBiz figures always stole the show. Spider-Man swinging into action, Wolverine unleashing his claws. Each character brought their unique flair to our stories. The Hulk smashing everything in sight. His raw power was unmatched, and he was always a crowd favorite. These figures brought our favorite Marvel heroes and villains to life. They weren't just static pieces of plastic. They were dynamic and full of personality. And let's not forget the sculpts. The attention to detail was incredible. Every muscle, every detail, perfectly captured. The craftsmanship was top-notch, making each figure a miniature masterpiece. ToyBiz put their heart and soul into these figures. You could see the dedication in every aspect of their design and production. You could feel the passion in every pose. These weren't just toys. They were expressions of creativity and love for the Marvel Universe. They were works of art. Each figure was a testament to the skill and imagination of the designers. They weren't just for play, they were for admiration. And for many of us, they became collectibles. We displayed them proudly, each one a cherished piece of our childhood. Our collections grew, and with each new figure, our love for the Marvel Universe deepened. These toys were more than just playthings. They were a part of who we were. Looking back, it's clear that these ToyBiz Marvel action figures were a significant part of our childhood. They were more than just toys. They were a love story. The early 90s were a wild time for comic book fans. It was an era when comic book culture was booming and the excitement was palpable. Fans would flock to comic book stores, eagerly awaiting the latest issues of their favorite series. We had the X-Men exploding in popularity. Spider-Man was everywhere. These characters weren't just confined to the pages of comic books, they were becoming cultural icons, appearing in TV shows, movies, and merchandise, and ToyBiz was there to capitalize on it all. They saw an opportunity to bring these beloved characters to life in a new way. They snagged the Marvel license and flooded the market with awesome action figures. These figures weren't just toys, they were collectibles that captured the essence of the characters. We're talking about iconic figures like the X-Men animated series line. This series was a game changer, bringing the animated characters into our hands. Cyclops with his optic blast visor. This feature allowed fans to recreate their favorite scenes from the show. Wolverine with his badass retractable claws. These figures were everywhere. Kids would spend hours playing with them, imagining epic battles and adventures. They were in our toy boxes, our backpacks, even our bathtubs. These figures were a constant presence in our lives, sparking creativity and imagination. But ToyBiz didn't stop there. They continued to expand their lineup, bringing more characters and series into the fold. They gave us figures from the Fantastic Four, Spider-Man's animated series, and many more. Each new release was met with excitement and anticipation. And even the classic Marvel Super-Heroes line. These figures paid homage to the original comic book designs, making them a hit with collectors and fans alike. Each figure was a mini masterpiece. The attention to detail was incredible, from the sculpting to the paintwork. They had great articulation for the time. This allowed for dynamic poses and playability, making them more than just static figures. Plus, they had those classic comic book-inspired designs. Pure nostalgia. These figures were a bridge between the comic book world and the real world, allowing fans to hold a piece of their favorite stories in their hands. ToyBiz action figures were more than just toys. They were a gateway to a world of imagination and adventure. They brought our favorite heroes to life and made them a part of our everyday lives. Whether you were a kid in the 90s or a collector today, these figures hold a special place in the hearts of many. Then came 2002. ToyBiz unleashed the Marvel Legends series upon the world. And man, did they raise the bar for action figures. These weren't your older brother's toys anymore. These were highly detailed, heavily articulated figures with amazing sculpts. The detail was insane. They had realistic muscle definition. Their costumes had intricate textures. And the articulation? Forget about it. These figures could strike almost any pose imaginable. They were perfect for recreating epic battles or displaying on our shelves. But the best part? Each figure came with a piece of a Build-A-Figure. Collect them all, and you could build a massive figure like Galactus or Sentinel. Genius. This was a game changer in the action figure world. ToyBiz had outdone themselves. The partnership between Marvel and ToyBiz was a match made in heaven. ToyBiz understood what made Marvel characters so great. They translated that into fantastic action figures that captured the imaginations of kids and collectors alike. They didn't just focus on the A-listers either. Sure, they had your Spider-Man and Wolverine figures, but they also dug deep into Marvel's vaults. They gave us obscure characters like Longshot and even Howard the Duck. This dedication to the source material resonated with fans. It showed that ToyBiz cared about Marvel as much as we did. They weren't just churning out toys. They were creating collectibles that would stand the test of time. Now let's talk about the infamous ToyBiz v. United States case. This case is a fascinating chapter in the history of the toy industry, and it has a lot more layers than you might initially think. This wasn't just some boring legal battle. It was a high-stakes showdown that had everyone in the toy industry on the edge of their seats. The courtroom was filled with passionate arguments, intense debates, and a palpable sense of anticipation. This was a landmark case that had a huge impact on the toy industry and collectors everywhere. The outcome of this case would determine the future of how action figures were classified and taxed, which in turn would affect their prices and availability. You see, back then, the United States Customs Service had a weird definition of toys. They had a very specific way of classifying action figures, which seemed arbitrary and outdated. This classification system was causing a lot of headaches for toy manufacturers and collectors alike. They classified action figures based on what they represented. This meant that the nature of the character depicted by the action figure determined how it was taxed. It was a system that didn't make much sense to those in the industry. If a figure was based on a human character, it was hit with higher import tariffs. This was a significant financial burden for companies like ToyBiz, which produced a lot of human-based action figures, especially from popular franchises like Marvel. But if it was based on a non-human character like a robot or a monster, it was considered a doll and had lower tariffs. This discrepancy created an uneven playing field and made it difficult for companies to price their products competitively. ToyBiz, being the badass company they were, decided to fight back. They weren't going to let an outdated classification system dictate their business. They knew that this was a battle worth fighting, not just for themselves, but for the entire toy industry. They took the case to court, arguing that their action figures were toys, regardless of whether they were based on humans or not. Their legal team presented a compelling case, highlighting the inconsistencies and unfairness of the current classification system. And guess what? They won. The judge ruled in favor of ToyBiz, recognizing the flaws in the existing system and agreeing that action figures should be classified as toys, not dolls. This was a monumental victory that sent shockwaves through the industry. This victory was huge for collectors. It meant that the prices of action figures would no longer be inflated by unfair tariffs. Collectors could now enjoy their hobby without worrying about exorbitant costs, and the market for action figures became more accessible to everyone. It meant that action figures would be cheaper to import, which meant lower prices for us. Thanks, ToyBiz. This case set a precedent that benefited not just ToyBiz, but the entire toy industry and its consumers. It was a win for fairness, for creativity, and for everyone who loves collecting action figures. So next time you pick up a Marvel action figure, remember the ToyBiz v. United States case. It's a reminder of how a determined company can make a difference and how legal battles can shape the industries we love. Here's to ToyBiz and their incredible victory. All good things must come to an end, though. In 2006, Hasbro acquired the license to produce Marvel toys. It was the end of an era. Many collectors, myself included, were skeptical. Would Hasbro be able to live up to the legacy of ToyBiz? Don't get me wrong, Hasbro has done some great things with the Marvel license. They've continued the Marvel Legends line and even expanded it. They've given us incredible figures and play sets over the years, but there's just something special about those vintage ToyBiz figures. Maybe it's the nostalgia factor, maybe it's the unique charm they possessed. Whatever it is, those figures hold a special place in the hearts of collectors. So why are vintage ToyBiz Marvel action figures still the best? It's simple, man. They had it all. Quality, detail, playability, collectability. They were the perfect blend of everything that makes action figures great. Those figures weren't just toys. They were our companions, our confidants, our partners in crime. They sparked our imaginations, fueled our creativity, and provided us with countless hours of entertainment. ToyBiz captured the essence of Marvel characters in a way that few toy companies have been able to replicate. Sure, modern figures might be more detailed or have better articulation, but those vintage ToyBiz figures, they're timeless. They're reminders of a simpler time when action figures were more than just collectibles. They were pure magic.